So, actress Sydney Sweeney has been actively changing her outlook on her career as an actress within the film industry, within Hollywood, especially after coming out of Madam Web and what happened with Sony and that whole disaster with that film, and how they were basically given false promises related to Madam Web. Now there's been a lot of things happening behind the scenes with Sydney Sweeney and the Walt Disney Company, and how it does indeed involve Bob Iger and the board of directors and her involvement and negotiations with Disney when it comes to major motion pictures. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Sydney Sweeney that I think that we could all agree on here is that she made the right call to poke fun at Madam Web becoming a major failure on SNL, on Saturday Night Live. Now look, I'm not a fan of SNL at all by any means, but I think it was the right move for her as an actress to acknowledge to the general public that what she was involved in was a trash fire. I mean, that's basically what it was at the end of the day. Now, with Disney, of course, focusing strictly on their agenda-driven strategies with many different brands, whether it's the Disney live-action remakes of the animated classics, or Star Wars, or Marvel, or the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, there's been a lot of things happening at all divisions of the Walt Disney Company. However, when it comes down to Sydney Sweeney, this is where things really began to go out of control for Bob Iger and what he's been trying to do, not just for 2025, but also for 2026. Let's get into all of this, shall we? Now, specifically, of course, one thing about all of this is that with actress Sydney Sweeney just coming out of one of Sony's biggest failures for 2024, known as Madam Web, one major development now has to do with her impact on the Walt Disney Company, surprisingly, and how it led to a serious financial situation for those like Bob Iger and the rest of the board of directors. One crucial update to this scenario involves how Sweeney recently took serious action against Disney regarding their agenda-driven Pirates of the Caribbean remake / reboot that is not going to star Johnny Depp, that is set to fully embrace DEI. After Jenna Ortega, as we talked about weeks ago, decided to drop out of the planned trilogy of the Pirates remake that caused Disney to cancel 2 of those films and dwindling it down to 1, as they relied on Ortega to sell the film along with other it girls in Hollywood. As of now, Sydney Sweeney is also dropping out from a major role that she was given for this film in particular, behind the scenes to portray the main / new villain in the Pirates remake that Disney knew would sell the film based on Sydney's familiarity to the general public from shows like Euphoria, for example. Now, the role that Sweeney was offered was said to be codenamed, alright, specifically codenamed Medusa, and that those like Bob Iger and creators, of course, like Craig Mazin, were relying on Sweeney to use her familiarity to make this into a box office success, and Disney analysts agreed that this was going to garner billions worldwide off the use of Hollywood it girls and familiar faces, for example like Jenna Ortega and Sydney Sweeney in this case. The shocking turn of events now is that after Madam Web failed, Sweeney immediately, and is already backing out of the Pirates reboot as the main villain codenamed Medusa. The loss of Sweeney already caused the Disney heads to run into an immediate emergency meeting that took place just a short number of days ago regarding the cast of the film, now dwindled down to all unknown actors / actresses and no familiar faces in the cast, essentially. Already Disney analysts have informed Iger and the rest of the board with the loss of both Ortega and Sweeney from the film as both the hero and the villain. This is already heading to a loss of billions of dollars in revenue that was confidently mapped out by Disney heads, and is already causing Disney to demand Craig Mazin to make serious rewrites for the film as soon as possible. Now, Sweeney is also actively involved in conversations, and has been for the past 2 months, to become a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and is also demanding Disney to throw away their DEI agenda for the role that she is discussing, or else she is set to leave those discussions as well. This comes after how Sweeney has been desperately trying to get into the superhero trend as an actress, hence why she was involved in Madam Web. Bob Iger is reportedly in full panic mode right now over the new Pirates film, as they were relying on it girls in Hollywood to sell the film, and are now only left with many no-name actresses. Now, the main cast member of the film right now, you may not know her, is Ayo Edebiri to portray the main female pirate hero that will represent DEI. Another reason why Sweeney bailed from the film, however, was that it was too catered to the typical DEI agenda that the Walt Disney Company, of course, is obsessed over to satisfy their top shareholders like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. This in turn is already leading Disney to run into a corner by losing out on hundreds of millions of dollars already invested in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, as they want to expand it beyond one film eventually, that are now also getting changed and shifted around due to Ortega and Sweeney's exit. A similar scenario happened when things did not work out with Margot Robbie in early versions of the script as well, which, guys, you may remember that. So here's the deal with Disney, is that they have no clue what they are doing anymore. They are just throwing things at a wall to see what sticks or to see what works. That's basically what Bob Iger is doing. And this Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, I've said this before and I'll say it again, no Johnny, no pirates. It's simple as that. And look, I agree the past two Pirates movies were quite subpar, but you gotta admit, the first three are classics. They are the ones that really do resonate with fans, that are embedded in pop culture, that most fans really love to look out to. You know, they are the movies that really kind of put Johnny Depp in that position within Walt Disney as a whole. Now again, here's another problem, is that Sydney Sweeney, rightfully so, shot Disney down. And I think that was a good call, because she did this after Madam Web failed. She didn't want another failure on her hands. So that was only, you know, a matter of time to happen eventually, right? If you have one failure as an actress that you were involved in from a company like Sony, you can only expect something worse coming from the Walt Disney Company. I mean, it's just to be expected at this point. And another thing is that this is living proof that more and more actresses, actors, talents, whatever have you, are beginning to wake up about what Disney's all about. And I think a lot of it has to do with how Elon Musk has been making this more and more public to the regular normal people that tune in, that may not be all that involved with the drama happening with Disney, that are able to see this on social media more so nowadays. So that's the overall process right now, is that they're losing out and have lost all familiar faces, all well-known actors / actresses that were supposed to be involved in Pirates of the Caribbean reboot that dropped out like flies, of course. This is not good for them at all. Disney analysts, like I say, already projecting that this is going to garner billions beforehand, and now losing billions at that, as this movie cannot attract any main familiar Hollywood stars, or even up-and-coming stars that are considered those that are becoming popular, that are very well known but aren't quite there just yet. And I think at the same exact time, Disney is just throwing whatever they can, like I said before, at the wall to see what works. And this Pirates movie, don't expect it to come out anytime soon. They actually did project that it won't even come out most likely until 2027 at the earliest. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments if you guys did enjoy the content for today, and if you guys would like to tell me exactly what you thought about this entire scenario, please do so, and I will catch you guys later.